Thank you. It's nice to be here. Nice to be alive, actually. Most of my stories are funny. This one is not. It's entitled Through the Dark Night of the Soul. I was flying in a helicopter over the city. The loud sound of the propellers couldn't drown out my fearful thoughts and dreaded anticipation. There was a 10 to 15 foot cable running from a hard and tight collar around my neck to a large metal hoop the size of a hula hoop. As we began circling a tall skyscraper, my inner terror reached a fever pitch. We flew closer to the top of this tall building, and several big men dragged me to the door of the copter. I couldn't believe this was happening. As they closed in on the needle-pointed apex of the building, one of the men threw the big metal hoop over the pointed top, circling it. They then threw me out the door to hang helplessly from the very top of this building. I screamed in frightened fear, pain, and helplessness. After what seemed like days, the scene changed to a darkened room where I was tied down with huge metal planks crushing me. Then my memory slowly returned, and I began to realize this was just another in the series of many tortures that I was subjected to while in a coma for 30 days. I'm actually in a UCLA hospital. I guess I should start at the beginning of my journey through the dark night of the soul. The following is the absolutely true story of the tragic events and harrowing details, as well as the light at the end of the tunnel that I eventually experienced, which transformed me in 2011 from a somewhat fearful, angry, and controlling man to a loving, peaceful, happy, and very grateful man. It all began in 2001 when I was diagnosed with hepatitis C, as you may know, a liver disease, and my doctor told me it was fatal. A few months later, I learned that although I never drank alcohol, the disease had caused cirrhosis of my liver. Later, I developed hepatopulmonary syndrome, a lung disease that put me on oxygen 24/7, even while I slept, while I drove with tanks in the back of my car, 24/7, and reduced my lung function and physical activity. This debilitating condition subsequently caused my wife of 10 years to leave me. So much for in sickness and in health. I applied for a liver transplant. After 6 months, I joined the list of needy and necessarily patient liver disease victims, many of whom wind up dying before getting their much-needed transplant. Could this be me? I thought. Although still able to drive with oxy tanks in my car, I was struck by a truck on the 101 freeway one evening, putting me in the hospital with fractures to my hand and both legs. My doctors told me it would take about 6 months to heal my broken bones and be able to walk. While recovering in rehab, I used my time daily practicing physical therapy exercises with my legs, as well as sound therapy practices. See, as a sound therapist for over 20 years, vibrational healing exercises had previously helped me to heal pain and kidney stones several years earlier. To my doctor's amazement, after several weeks, my legs healed in a fraction of the time they had expected. I walked out of rehab in 5 weeks. While I was still in rehab, though, I was also feeling intuitively that my lungs were healing. And so I refused the oxygen I had been on for 2.5 years. My nurse started freaking out, so they tested my oxygen saturation levels and found the levels had improved from my regularly low 78% oxygen level to a surprisingly stable 98%. After monitoring my oxygen levels for 48 hours, I was permanently taken off oxygen and haven't needed any oxygen since then. That was the summer of 2010. Despite my doctors insisting there was no cure for my hepatitis C, I had been diligently working with vibrational healing principles since I learned I had this fatal disease. After being released from rehab and going in for my monthly blood work, the doctors said they couldn't find the hep C in my blood, yet they insisted it was still there somewhere. And there was no way of healing it, like herpes. It goes away, it comes back. But it was there. After more extensive weekly lab tests for 2 months, every week, they couldn't find it and said somehow it was gone. While never acknowledging that I could have possibly healed the disease, I was eventually validated when they began referring patients to me several weeks later. I felt very grateful for the remarkable results of my sound therapy and for God's grace in my healing. However, despite my dramatic healing progress, my liver was too damaged to be healed or regenerated. I had been a vegan for several years, and I didn't have any symptoms, so it literally destroyed my liver, the disease. And being trashed by cirrhosis, only a transplant could save my life. Unfortunately, the drama continued. 2 months later, I fell down, fracturing my femur, and had to undergo hip replacement surgery. During this time in the hospital, my liver and kidneys failed, and I fell into a coma, during which I experienced a perpetual state of terror due to frightening nightmares and hallucinations, as I mentioned earlier. While in this unconscious state, most of the time I felt trapped inside a dimension of mental and physical pain, and imagined I was continually and very realistically being tortured by unknown oppressors. After 30 days of this inner torture, I was finally blessed to receive a new liver from an unfortunate donor who was killed in an auto accident, saving my life. I was further blessed that this risky 10-hour surgery was performed by Dr. Ronald Busatil, the best liver transplant surgeon in the United States, who personally developed the liver transplant program at UCLA 30 years ago. So props to the doctor. I finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel, but then it turned into an oncoming train. I awoke in ICU to the smiling face of my best friend who, after he was sure that I could handle the news, told me that I had been evicted from my home, lost most of my possessions and my business. I also discovered later that my life savings of $10,000 in cash had been stolen from my home stash. This left me homeless and broke. No longer feeling grateful to be alive, I sunk into a deep depression. As if to fuel my inner torment, my doctors told me that I was on kidney dialysis and that likely it would continue for the rest of my life. I prayed to God for 3 days straight to please take me out of this cruel world. However, on the third day, I experienced an inner spiritual epiphany that dramatically changed me and my life. I realized that contrary to what I'd taught my students for 25 years, teaching sound therapy, I had allowed myself to feel like a victim. I had always believed and taught that there are no accidents, and everything, I mean everything, happens for our upliftment. So I refused to be a victim, and I realized that God saved my life for a reason. And I needed to take responsibility for my life and reinvent myself. I also realized that nothing was ever really mine. Anyway, my possessions, my money, not even my body. It's God's. I've just been given a certain responsibility to take care of it. After extraordinary love and support from my friends and students, many from around the world, within 1 year, I healed my life, my kidneys, I got off dialysis, I found a new home, I rebuilt my sound therapy practice, and I'm now living a very blessed, healthy, happy, and grateful life of service to others. Peace. Thank you, and if you'll continue to indulge me, I want to share my feelings in a song. Don't let anyone tell you what you ought to say, 'cause maybe you can say it in a better way. Don't let anyone tell you what you ought to do, 'cause there's no one who does it quite like you. Just heal yourself Get out and join the dance. Just trust yourself. It's time to take a chance and love yourself. You don't have to hide. Heal yourself. Believe in what's inside. Talk about what's inside now. Whoa. Some people need to learn what they're always trying to teach. Some people need to practice what they always like to preach. But don't rely on them. No, 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 don't wait for their relief. Believe in your own dream and live your own belief and heal yourself. But finish what you start. And don't judge yourself. Keep following your heart. And love yourself when you gotta make a choice. Heal yourself. Listen to your inner voice. Oh, it's all inside. Oh, if you can feel it, you can heal it. Yeah. Whoa, now they're pulling on our coats, my friend, selling us their points of view. But trying to change the world, it's not the way for me or you. We can only heal ourselves. If we truly want to heal, let's open up our hearts to live, to love and feel and heal ourselves. There's just no other way to have it all. We've got to give it all away. So love yourself. It'll come right back to you. And you'll heal yourself if love is what you do. Oh, now, trust yourself. Don't take my word for it. Just love yourself. You're gonna get the benefit. Don't judge yourself. Don't be afraid to fall. Heal yourself and you can have it all. Heal yourself. Get out and join the dance. Whoa, love yourself. Whoa, it's time to take a chance. Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't, got to, got to feel it. You can heal it. When we feel it, we can heal it. Come on and feel it, and you'll heal it. I want you to feel it, and we'll heal it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. Heal it, feel it, feel yourself. Thank you very much.